Did not. Okay, Merrill Chandler here with Jennifer Hammond, and it is Myth Busting Part 2. For those of you who were not here last week, there's some serious shredding going on, and I'm not talking about snow skiing or surfing. Jennifer, tell us kind of the history of what you ran into and what's going on.
So I was going back through some of my training courses that I paid a lot of money for. And we're talking into the thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And one of the people that I, had really looked up to, I went back and I was reviewing. They have an entire one of their courses that they have, which I'm reading from, that is all about building $1 million credit is what it's called, building your $1 million credit. And this is, like I said, a very expensive course. And there are things in here that, number one, some of them are just completely wrong. And then others are part of the truth. Like the first one I want to start off with and ask you about is, okay, so we need those sound effects. We need the rest of the story. So part of this is true,
Yeah.
but not the whole truth. Anything
Right.
but so anyway. So today we're going to continue talking through myth busting. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up, and I asked you if you didn't mind me not telling you beforehand, and I know you well enough to know that you're gonna be able to answer them, but it makes it more fun to kind of surprise you with what it's going to be. And this is what is being taught right now by another
right now live expert. All right, so now I want to jump in here. First of all, welcome Derek. Yes, he says part 2. It's time for part 2. Part 1 was wild, right? Saying hello. All right, so after we finished this, she told me who it was. And again, I'm not about credit shaming it publicly or even privately, but when I learned who it was, it broke my heart. Because amazing operator in the entrepreneurial space, and I didn't want this person to not just promulgate myths, but not to harm clients unintentionally. Because I don't believe there's a bad bone in this person's body. Well, so I get on the phone with an individual I know in the organization, and I'm like, dude, you got to talk to your boss because there's some stuff going on that is harming people's, if they do it. Now, hopefully in your course, it's like a lot of people, they buy it and then put it on a shelf. That's the only good thing with this course, because there's so many other things will actually harm. And for example, last time we talked about one of the keys was apply for as much credit as fast as you can until you get denied. No. All right. So lead us out, Jennifer. Tell us what next in this mayhem of mythology.
So now we're going to go into a topic which I know is near and dear to your heart.
Making sure got it all here. Yes.
That is credit repair. Okay. So there's some juicy ones in here. I mean,
I'm gritting my teeth already. Go.
Like it's really, really, it's tough, but let me see. So first of all, one of the things they say is that their categories of bad credit is the 350 to a 619 FICO score. A good credit is 620 to 719, and great credit of a FICO score is 720 to 850. And as you and I both know, the score itself is just
does not make you fundable.
Part of the story. Yeah.
Yep. So, all right. So let's speak to that so we can parse out the truth, right? Now, those are, first of all, if we're going to use FICO and we're going to talk about scores, there are 7 categories that move in 20-point increments. Anything under 500 to 350 is 1. But then it literally goes up to 580, 580 to 600, 6 to 620, 640, 660, 680, 700, 720. There are numerous tiers in here, and 760 is the highest until it jumps to 800 plus, and then anything over 800. Now there are a few lenders who will create even more incentives at 800, 820, 840, etc. But if we're talking about score, then we need to know that it moves after 500, 520, it moves in 20-point increments. Now remember, score is in charge of your rate and term if you get approved, and in how much money you're going to make, or how much money you're going to get approved for. Well, in the 500s and the 520s, you're not going to be approved. Lending software is going to just throw it out. The first approvals start right around their government, their sponsored approvals of FHA, which start at 620. You're not going to get unsecured credit cards and credit lines at under 620. Even most secured credit cards start at 620. So bad credit for me is up to 620, and then mediocre credit is to 720. Good credit is 720 to 760. Great credit, great or excellent credit is above. If you go to myfico.com and look at how they parse it out, they're going to show you poor, they don't call it bad, poor, fair, good, and great or excellent.
Okay, and I'm going to go down a little bit of a side thing. There's also one thing that is explained in here, and it says there are 3 types of personal credit reports: a standard report, a credit grantor's report, and an investigative report.
Okay, so not horrible. Those are not the languages that the Fair Credit Reporting uses, but a standard report is it needs to be broken down, because they're not counting consumer disclosure files, which are the raw data files from annualcreditreport.com. So which include no scores. Then there is the FICO and FACO universe. So you've got myfico.com, which offers 28 FICO credit scores, legitimate lender scores. Then there's credit monitoring, what I call wholesale credit reports, where you got the freecreditreport.com and the Credit Karmas, which are fake scores, meaning lenders don't use them, fake scores, but no, but they have a credit score but they do have legitimate data. Now, what they're calling investigative there are criminal background checks, there are lease checks for renting and rental, etc. There are mortgage credit reports, and so these name the 3 categories again: investigative, standard, and what was the middle one?
Credit grantor.
Okay, so credit grantor is for anybody who, like what we call lenders, people who are offering credit, and that would be mortgage reports, etc. Even though FICO is not a credit grantor, it's giving you real reports and real scores. So this isn't. If gun to my head, this is not a myth, but it does misrepresent the complexity and some of the mythologies associated with credit reporting. Because somebody says, I got a credit report with a score, that's not a credit grantor scores, but we got to separate the FACO and the FICO worlds, as we've done. So yeah, great. I'm glad you brought that one up.
And then I was going to go on. I'm going to do another one that says, so this one is analyze credit reports. Now grab a highlighter, because there are only 3 credit reporting agencies. They separate your data into only 3 distinct categories. Number 1, details about you. Number 2, your accounts in good standing. And number 3, your negative accounts. That's it. That's all they report.
Yes. So again, every single credit report are going to, now the person who wrote this may have had a report that's separated into those 3, but I know personally that FICO lists them by 28 different scores, by different series and by different industries. And then, so let's pretend we group all those. Then they have an analysis section that show you what the ingredients of your score is and how you rate based on other borrowers of similar type. Then there's all credit, every trade line. So you're 30 days late, they're calling them negatives or derogatories. But if you have a charge off or a late pay, it's going to be in the accounts section. Then if you have collections or then there's a collection section, and then there's a public record section, and then there's the personal information. So we've got 6 or 7 different categories. So I don't want to say no to them, because they may have been looking where there's at a report that only has 3 sections. But here's the problem. We need to know what to look for in any credit report. And I prefer you guys only use myfico.com, so you have the truth. And MyFICO has at least these 7 areas of the credit report.
Yeah. And that's the part of the rest of the story, is that it's not just those. I mean, it's a little bit of a simplification in that.
It's an oversimplification. Perfect way to say it.
And it can get confusing if you don't actually know the rest of the story. And that's why I say, it's like that famous radio talk show host who used to always talk about the rest of the story.
The rest of the story, right?
And the rest of this. Go ahead.
No, keep going.
Well, I was going to say, and I wanted to sneak in the one about credit repair. So this one was, credit repair, recovering from errors, dings, and boo-boos. Everyone makes mistakes. However, contrary to what many credit and debt counseling services will try and tell you, you absolutely have the power to clean up your own credit report and dramatically increase your credit rating, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. And that, of course, is,
yeah.
Well, so many comments like there. What would you say, Merrill?
So it sounds like the person who is offering this to this entrepreneur support person or influencer, sounds like they are associated with credit repair, because they're using the term dramatic. They don't say universally, but just so you know, having founded Lexington law firm and coming from a credit repair history, Lexington says proudly on its website that they have a 24% deletion ratio, meaning if you go after 10, you're going to get between 2 and 3, right?
Wow.
And that's 10 total. Let's say you have 4, 4, and 4 on each of the 3 bureaus. Well, that's 12. If you get 24%, you're going to get like 3 of those, maybe 4. And those 4 that come off, 2 might be on one bureau, 1 on another, or 2 on another, and none on the third. So it doesn't guarantee you're going to get every single same item off of every single bureau. And this person says dramatically increase your credit rating. Now, credit rating is a fuzzy term because they're not talking about score, which I applaud. And credit rating may be what can be imply that it's what the lender software is evaluating you. But when you use credit rating, you're conjoining 2 separate functions, underwriting versus scoring. And again, that's a little misleading. It's a little oversimplified. And I don't want to overcomplicate things. That's not our point. But we do want somebody who pulls up to any credit profile to know what they're looking at, what questions to ask, because the better the question, the better the answer, right? If we don't have the right questions to ask our credit profile when we're looking to improve it or get funded, well, it's going to be a losing battle.
Yeah. And that's the thing about the credit repair is I just wanted to make sure that it's fully understood that you can't, and I know you've said it a million times, you can't just credit repair yourself to this $1 million funding lines. That's just not the solution.
Not going to happen.
That's part of the equation. That's part of the formula, if you want to call it that, the funding formula. It's part of what you want to know how to do, but it's not the whole story, which is one of the reasons I really, really wanted to make sure we touched on credit repair, because they go into a lot of detail about the credit repair and the letters.
And what they and here's something that credit repair operators tend to do on a regular basis, guys. And be careful of this. First of all, if they say we can clean 100% of your negative items off, run, because whether or not they can, it's not guaranteed that they can for you. So, and this leads me into my point. Just because it has happened doesn't, in their experience,
Right.
doesn't mean it's going to happen for you. I've had clients come in with what we call a clean sweep, and we took 20 negative items off of all 3 bureaus. Boom, gone. Maybe twice in 30 years. Okay. So if somebody said, oh, yeah, we remove bankruptcies, because they have removed one or more bankruptcies, but not every. I guarantee you they have not removed every bankruptcy off of every credit report that they've worked on. Now, some will even say, so listen about how my language can be misrepresenting, right? I can say, yes, I get bankruptcy deleted off all 3 bureaus. Well, how many did you get the same bankruptcy off of that one client's all 3 bureaus? Because yes, you did it for Experian, you did it for TransUnion, and you did it for Equifax. But did you do it for all 3 for one client? And if they say yes, how many clients do you have? 500. How many of the times have you done this? Once, twice. So that's what I need you guys to ask when you're vetting a credit repair house, right? You got to say, yeah, what's your deletion ratio? And so I tell every one of our clients, we have a 30 to, because it's better than Lexington, we have a 30 to 50% deletion ratio, because I know that that will be true for every single client. What I don't tell them is that many times it's far better, but because I want to be in my integrity for the average client, I want you guys to know that some of you are going to get 30, some of you are going to get 50, some of you are going to get 100% on all 3 bureaus. But I'm not going to tell you that, because I'd rather be a hero than be a liar, cheater, and a thief. Just one more operator out there that where you can't count on my word. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's the risk with notice. Do you see how I parsed it out in great detail? That yes, the sentence, I remove bankruptcies from all three credit bureaus. Yep. That has been true for a couple of clients.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So we got to ask enough questions, guys, when you're vetting these guys. Do we have time for one more?
I was going to say, I think we're aren't we out of time? I think we're out of time. It's already late.
We have so much fun together.
I have more. I would encourage, if you're up for it, and if everybody's in the audience is interested, I would like to do another week of myth busting, if that's
done.
Okay.
I would love to. Love to. So we're going to go to part 3, everybody. And congratulations, Derek. Hit your 670, but you're headed to the boot camp so that you can go to hit your 850. Now, remember, when you say 850, that means your best rates, best terms, and highest fundings. We got to make sure that you're fundable through and through. And that's what the boot camp does. So for everybody who has not gone to the boot camp, make sure you go to getfundablejennifer.com, getfundablejennifer.com, because that's where you can sign up for the boot camp. Just read the reviews. Holy hell, you don't have to believe Jennifer or myself. Just read the reviews, have a blast, and come and join us. It's going to be October 1st and 2nd, Friday and Saturday. Just go check it out, and we really burned through our time. This was fun. This was awesome.
I was going to sneak another 1 or 2 in, and I realized, oh my gosh, we really did.
We really are up.
That's why I said we'll just keep
next
on
week.
Another week.
Same Fundable time, same Fundable channel. We will see you guys there. Love you, Jennifer. Have you guys be